Cleveland is on fire right now. The Browns organization, a team already riddled with chaos and controversy, may be on the brink of another explosive moment. And it's all tied to one young quarterback and a head coach whose icy demeanor is raising eyebrows across the league. Shedeur Sanders, the rookie everyone expected to grow into a franchise leader, recently spoke up in an interview, declaring he feels ready to play and believes he could start for most NFL teams. Bold, absolutely. Shocking. Maybe not to those who have been watching him on the field. But here's the catch. Instead of celebrating that confidence, the Browns' coaching staff responded with the kind of cold, dismissive answers that make you wonder if this team even knows what it has. When a first-round pick speaks with clarity, professionalism, and a quiet fire, the ideal response from a coach is clear. Support, guide, and build around that talent. But Kevin Stefanski, the Browns' head coach, chose a different path. In a press conference that has now become infamous among insiders, he delivered what can only be described as corporate speak masquerading as leadership. Lines like, "I hope all our guys feel like they're ready," and "everyone's working hard," might sound innocent on the surface, but to anyone paying attention, it's a signal. A signal that this coach is uncomfortable with his rookie quarterback's confidence, unwilling to embrace change, and perhaps more focused on protecting his own job than developing the franchise's future. And then there's the owner factor. Jimmy Haslam, a man known for making swift and decisive moves when he sees his team heading in the wrong direction, reportedly watched that very press conference live. He personally targeted Shedeur in the draft, investing both trust and expectation into this young quarterback. Watching his hand-picked asset publicly dismissed, while veterans like Joe Flacco continue to receive playing time, could be the tipping point. Haslam has a history of firing coaches for far less. The tension here isn't just a rumor. It's a ticking clock with everyone watching to see who will blink first. But this story isn't only about personalities or conflict. It's about philosophy, risk, and the brutal reality of the NFL. Stefanski's conservative, risk-averse approach is clashing with the modern demands of developing elite talent. Shedeur's confidence isn't arrogance. It's the rare kind of mindset that can lead a franchise for a decade. Yet every moment he sits on the bench, the Browns risk squandering a talent the league is already noticing. Other teams are taking notes. The Raiders, the Giants, the Panthers, all of them are observing a quarterback being wasted, and the implications for trades, free agency, and future rivalries are enormous. So the question everyone is asking now, what happens next? Will Stefanski recognize the extraordinary opportunity in front of him, or is this the beginning of the end for his tenure in Cleveland? Will Haslam finally make a move to protect his investment, or will Shedeur be forced to wait longer than he should? One thing is certain. The tension is real, the stakes are high, and the fallout from this press conference is only just beginning. In a city desperate for hope, one rookie quarterback's belief in himself might be the spark that ignites change, or the warning sign of another season lost to indecision. What happened next is where the story really starts to chill. When Shedeur Sanders spoke with confidence, stating he feels ready to start for most NFL teams, the expectation would be for a coach to acknowledge that talent, maybe even get excited about the possibilities. But Kevin Stefanski, Cleveland's head coach, did the exact opposite. His response in the press conference was so cold, so detached, that it sent a clear signal. This rookie's confidence wasn't welcome, and his potential wasn't a priority. Instead of a spark of encouragement, we got corporate, formulaic language, delivered like a statement straight from a PR handbook. Lines like, "I hope all of our guys feel like they're ready," might seem harmless to the untrained ear, but in the NFL, tone is everything. And the tone here screamed dismissal. For anyone watching, it was almost surreal. Shedeur, a rookie quarterback who has done everything right, grinding through practice, showing patience, and handling the media with poise, was met with a wall of indifference. Stefanski didn't ask questions, he didn't show excitement, and he certainly didn't validate the confidence of a player who could very well lead this franchise for years. Instead, he deflected, gave vague assurances, and moved on. It was the kind of cold professionalism that feels warm on paper, but icy in execution. Fans and insiders alike immediately sensed the tension. This wasn't a coach nurturing a young star. This was a coach shrugging off the very thing that could save his job. And the dismissive energy didn't stop there. When asked about the possibility of using Dylan Gabriel in certain packages, Stefanski's confusion spoke volumes. "Dylan Sampson? Oh, no, definitely him," he stammered, momentarily forgetting his other rookie quarterback's name. In a league where every detail matters, that small slip was monumental. It revealed two critical things. One, he's so entrenched in his existing plans with veteran Joe Flacco that he can't even seriously consider his young talent. And two, the coaching staff isn't thinking creatively about how to maximize the skills of the players they already have. In other words, elite talent like Shedeur Sanders is literally being wasted on the bench, while Cleveland hopes a 40-year-old quarterback can somehow turn the season around. Some might argue Stefanski is cautious, trying to protect Shedeur from rookie mistakes. But that reasoning falls apart when you watch how other elite quarterbacks are developed. Leadership, confidence, and exposure to real game pressure are exactly what young quarterbacks need to grow. A generic, corporate-style answer does nothing to build skill or morale. It only undermines the player, frustrates the fans, and most importantly, raises questions about the coach's ability to lead. The takeaway is clear. Stefanski's response didn't just deflate Shedeur's confidence publicly. It exposed the dysfunction behind the Browns' doors. A coach who treats his rookie quarterback's belief as a problem is a coach ignoring a potential franchise savior. And the ripple effect: every viewer, every analyst, every insider watching now knows that Cleveland may be squandering one of the brightest quarterback prospects in the league. And as the tension simmers, one question looms larger than ever. How long before this disconnect costs someone their job? As the press conference unfolded, one person watching from a distance likely felt more than just frustration. Jimmy Haslam, the Browns' owner, reportedly tuned in live, and insiders say he was far from pleased. Haslam isn't the kind of owner who lets mediocrity slide, especially when it threatens a hand-picked talent. Shedeur Sanders wasn't just any draft pick. He was targeted, specifically chosen to be a cornerstone of this franchise. Watching his rookie quarterback publicly dismissed by the very coach entrusted to develop him, that's a nightmare scenario for any owner, particularly one with Haslam's history of decisive action. Haslam has long demonstrated he won't hesitate to pull the trigger when he senses a problem. Since 2019, the Browns have seen 5 head coaches come and go, and each departure was preceded by signs of stagnation or mismanagement. Haslam knows talent when he sees it, and he recognizes when it's being wasted. Seeing Stefanski deflect questions about Shedeur, offering corporate platitudes instead of strategy or support, isn't just a minor misstep, it's a glaring red flag. To an owner like Haslam, this isn't about rookie nerves or caution. It's about misalignment, mismanagement, and the potential derailment of a franchise quarterback before he even gets a real chance. The tension here is compounded by the contrast between Shedeur and Stefanski. Sanders has been nothing but professional, handling the benching of a veteran quarterback with patience, showing maturity beyond his years, and speaking confidently about his readiness to contribute. Stefanski, on the other hand, delivered generic answers that masked a lack of engagement and awareness. For Haslam, it's a stark visual: a young, driven quarterback ready to lead versus a coach who seems frozen by caution. The optics alone are troubling, and in the NFL, optics matter just as much as on-field results. Sources suggest Haslam doesn't just see a problem with Stefanski's public responses. He sees a philosophical disconnect. Stefanski's risk-averse approach, his loyalty to veteran players over high-potential rookies, and his failure to creatively utilize talent all signal a coaching strategy misaligned with the franchise's ambitions. For an owner who invested in Shedeur to be a leader, watching a conservative approach stifle that potential is unacceptable. Every snap Sanders doesn't take, every press conference where his talent is minimized, only amplifies the tension behind the scenes. And while fans may see frustration and confusion, Haslam sees something even more consequential: the long-term impact on the franchise. If Shedeur isn't given the platform to grow, the Browns risk wasting a rare quarterback talent, and the fallout won't stop at the field. Ticket sales, fan morale, media scrutiny, and even the credibility of the front office are all on the line. Owners like Haslam measure success not just in wins and losses, but in trust, alignment, and momentum. And when the owner loses faith in the coach, the consequences are swift and unforgiving. At this moment, the real story isn't just about Stefanski's chilly press conference or Shedeur's confidence. It's about an owner watching the potential of his franchise quarterback slip through the cracks, realizing that a decision he made in the draft could be wasted unless someone in the organization finally takes responsibility. And for Cleveland, that responsibility may rest squarely on Stefanski's shoulders. The deeper you dig into this situation, the clearer it becomes. The issue isn't just one press conference or one frustrated owner. It's an entire coaching philosophy that's holding the Browns back. Kevin Stefanski's approach is rooted in caution, comfort, and adherence to outdated methods, and that mindset is directly clashing with the talent he is sitting on the bench. For a quarterback like Shedeur Sanders, whose confidence and poise are off the charts, this is a nightmare scenario. Elite talent thrives under guidance that encourages growth, challenges limits, and builds trust. What Stefanski is offering instead is rigidity, repetition, and avoidance of risk. Consider the Dillon Gabriel situation. When asked about potentially using Gabriel in specific packages, Stefanski hesitated and even got the name wrong for a moment. That slip may seem minor, but in context, it's revealing. It shows a coach so locked into the old plan, the plan revolving around veteran Joe Flacco, that he can't fully assess the capabilities of his young players. Creativity, adaptability, and recognition of emerging talent are the hallmarks of a successful coach in today's NFL. Stefanski's inability to do either suggests a philosophy that prioritizes safety over progress, process over potential, and comfort over performance. This philosophy doesn't just stall the development of Shedeur Sanders, it actively undermines it. A quarterback doesn't become a franchise leader by watching from the sidelines. Confidence is built through action, experience, and the occasional risk. By dismissing Shedeur's expressed readiness and failing to provide opportunities for real game exposure, Stefanski is ignoring the very mechanisms that create elite talent. Every pass left unthrown, every package left unused, every public deflection chips away at what could be a career-defining season for a rookie who's ready to rise. And it's not just about Shedeur. This coaching style affects the entire team. Veterans may continue to play out of habit or loyalty, rookies get lost in the shuffle, and fans are left watching potential waste away in real time. In an era where innovation and adaptability separate playoff contenders from basement dwellers, a rigid, cautious approach is almost criminal. It's the antithesis of what the Browns need to turn around a struggling franchise, and it's exactly what insiders are whispering about behind closed doors. The irony is that Stefanski's risk aversion, while meant to protect his job, may be the very thing that jeopardizes it. By ignoring Shedeur's confidence, failing to leverage his skill set, and sticking to a predictable game plan, he's creating the narrative that the Browns are stagnating under his leadership. Owners like Jimmy Haslam notice these patterns. Fans notice them too. And in the NFL, patterns like this don't stay hidden for long. The lesson here is stark. Coaching philosophy matters as much as player talent. Shedeur Sanders has the tools, the mindset, and the professionalism to lead a franchise, but those qualities mean nothing if the system around him refuses to adapt. And in Cleveland, that rigid system is the real obstacle. The next moves Stefanski makes, or fails to make, will determine whether Shedeur finally gets the chance he deserves or whether another opportunity slips away, watched helplessly by everyone who can see the potential wasting on the sidelines. Here, where the story takes an unexpected turn, despite being benched, dismissed, and publicly ignored, Shedeur Sanders' stock isn't falling, it's rising. That's right. Every cold response from Kevin Stefanski, every moment spent watching a 40-year-old Joe Flacco take snaps, and every press conference where Shedeur's potential is minimized is actually building a case for him. Other teams are watching. Analysts are noticing. And anyone with even a passing interest in the NFL can see the talent Cleveland is letting slip through its fingers. Think about it. Shedeur isn't whining. He isn't complaining. He isn't demanding trades or throwing teammates under the bus. He's simply stating facts. He feels ready and believes he could start for multiple teams. That's the kind of quiet confidence franchises dream of. And yet, Cleveland's coach treats it like a problem. That disconnect is glaring to anyone paying attention. Scouts, GMs, and rival owners are taking notes. Here, a quarterback with elite arm strength, poise under pressure, leadership skills, and a football IQ beyond his years, sitting on the bench while the team struggles. Teams like the Raiders, Giants, Panthers, and others don't need the Browns to validate Shedeur's talent. They can see it themselves. Every game he misses, every pass left unthrown, every opportunity squandered only reinforces the narrative. This is a player being wasted in a dysfunctional system. From a league-wide perspective, a player like that becomes more valuable not despite the benching, but because of it. It's paradoxical, but true. Being underutilized while showcasing professionalism and maturity makes him a golden prospect for anyone willing to give him a chance. The Shedeur effect isn't just about perception, it's about momentum. Confidence in a quarterback is contagious. When a player demonstrates calm, intelligence, and readiness in the face of adversity, it amplifies their reputation. While Stefanski's conservative approach might seem protective, it's actually a showcase. It highlights how Shedeur can rise above mismanagement, handle pressure, and maintain focus when circumstances are less than ideal. That's exactly the kind of character championship teams covet. For Cleveland, this is a nightmare in slow motion. Every moment wasted on the sidelines isn't just lost production on the field. It's an opportunity for rival teams to consider trade possibilities, future draft strategies, or even free agent plans centered around a player they know can deliver. Shedeur's value isn't theoretical, it's tangible. Every snap he doesn't take in Cleveland strengthens his stock elsewhere, and insiders are whispering that teams are already circling, waiting to see if Cleveland's inaction creates an opening. Here's the kicker. Shedeur's response to all of this has been flawless. No drama, no headlines complaining about his situation, no finger-pointing, just quiet professionalism and relentless preparation. That demeanor only adds fuel to the Shedeur effect, signaling to the league that he's not just a talented athlete, but a future leader. In other words, Cleveland may think they're controlling the narrative by keeping him benched, but in reality, they're creating a goldmine of attention for rival teams. The more they hold him back, the more Shedeur's potential shines on its own. While Stefanski's cold responses and rigid philosophy dominate the headlines, the real pressure cooker is happening behind the scenes, where Jimmy Haslam is staring down a dilemma that could define his tenure as Browns owner. Haslam isn't new to high-stakes decisions. He's seen seasons unravel, coaches fail, and high-profile draft picks underperform. But this situation is different. It's not about just another disappointing season. It's about watching a franchise quarterback he specifically targeted for greatness being ignored and undervalued by the very coach he entrusted to develop him.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button.
Imagine sitting in the owner's box, watching your rookie quarterback, a player you personally identified as a cornerstone, publicly dismissed, while veterans continue to dominate snaps and play calling. That's exactly what Haslam reportedly experienced during Stefanski's infamous press conference. The frustration isn't just about perception, it's about potential wasted. Every moment Shedeur Sanders sits on the bench is a moment where the investment Haslam made could start to depreciate. And in the NFL, time is money, talent, and legacy. Haslam's dilemma isn't theoretical, it's strategic. On one hand, he could let Stefanski continue his conservative, risk-averse approach, hoping the season stabilizes. But that's a gamble. Stefanski's inaction has a ripple effect. The team struggles offensively, fan frustration grows, media criticism intensifies, and the quarterback Haslam believes in continues to sit idle. On the other hand, Haslam could intervene, make a coaching change, shake up the staff, or push for Shedeur to start immediately. That route is bold, risky, and would place Haslam in the center of another high-profile NFL drama. But bold moves are often the only way to salvage wasted potential and redirect a franchise toward success. the stakes are amplified by the history Haslam knows all too well. Since 2019, the Browns have cycled through coaches who failed to develop young talent or adapt under pressure. Haslam understands patterns, and he's likely seeing a familiar warning sign: a coach prioritizing comfort over growth, veterans over rookies, and security over innovation. History tells him that ignoring these signs rarely ends well. And this isn't just about protecting Shedeur. It's about protecting the franchise, the fan base, and his own credibility as an owner willing to make the hard calls. What makes the situation even more tense is Shedeur Sanders himself. He hasn't created drama. He hasn't demanded a trade. He hasn't lashed out at his coach or teammates. Instead, he's remained professional, focused, and ready. That contrast only heightens Haslam's frustration. Here's a player clearly ready to contribute, showing the right mindset, and yet the team's leadership seems incapable of leveraging his talent. To Haslam, this isn't just mismanagement. It's a preventable failure that could cost the franchise dearly. At this crossroads, Haslam must decide: continue down the path of caution with Stefanski at the helm, or act decisively to protect his investment in Shedeur Sanders. Every game the Browns struggle, every press conference that dismisses Shedeur, and every opportunity wasted strengthens the urgency of that decision. The clock is ticking, and the choices Haslam makes in the coming weeks could determine not just the success of a rookie quarterback, but the very future of the franchise itself. Looking at this situation from a wider lens, it's easy to see that Cleveland's struggles with Shedeur Sanders aren't just a coaching issue. They're a symptom of a bigger problem. The Browns are a team caught between the past and the future, a franchise trying to protect its comfort zones while sitting on a quarterback who could define the next decade. Stefanski's conservative philosophy, while meant to stabilize, is actually stunting growth, not just for Shedeur, but for the team as a whole. Every snap Joe Flacco takes in a critical situation reinforces a culture that values caution over innovation, comfort over potential. And the consequences of that approach ripple far beyond the field. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a rookie learning the ropes. He's a quarterback with elite arm strength, poise in the pocket, and leadership qualities that can rally an entire team. Watching him sidelined is frustrating for fans, and insiders see it as a glaring mismanagement. A quarterback like Shedeur requires exposure, real game reps, trust from the coaching staff, and opportunities to grow under pressure. Without that, potential isn't just unrealized, it's at risk of being wasted entirely. Yet Stefanski's approach remains rooted in fear of mistakes rather than a pursuit of excellence. That fear is crippling, and the longer it persists, the more costly it becomes for Cleveland. The irony is undeniable. The very coach who is meant to nurture a franchise quarterback is jeopardizing both his players' development and his own job security. By not embracing Shedeur's confidence and failing to incorporate him meaningfully into the offense, Stefanski is setting himself up for failure. In the NFL, coaching isn't just about playbooks, it's about talent maximization. Great coaches recognize elite potential and build systems that allow it to flourish. Stefanski's refusal to adapt highlights a philosophical disconnect that Cleveland cannot afford. Meanwhile, Shedeur Sanders' character continues to shine in contrast. He isn't angry, dramatic, or impatient. Instead, he's professional, focused, and resilient. That combination of talent and temperament makes him an increasingly valuable asset, not just for the Browns, but for any team observing this situation. Every week he waits, every pass he doesn't throw, is another piece of evidence for rival teams. This is a quarterback being mismanaged, a player with immense untapped potential, and someone who could thrive in the right environment. From a franchise perspective, this is a warning. Owners like Jimmy Haslam don't just invest in players, they invest in philosophies, cultures, and systems. When a system refuses to support its talent, it jeopardizes the investment, fan engagement, and long-term trajectory of the team. Cleveland is at a crossroads. Continue down a path of safe mediocrity, or embrace the bold move of putting Shedeur Sanders in the spotlight. The choice will define not just a season, but the next decade of Browns football. Ultimately, the bigger picture is about alignment. The right player, the right coach, and the right organizational support can transform a struggling franchise into a contender. Misalignment, however, fear over talent, caution over confidence leads to wasted potential and mounting frustration. And right now, Cleveland is a textbook example of that tension in real time, with every passing week raising the stakes and making the eventual decision even more critical. Now, everything comes down to a single point, the crossroads. Cleveland is at a moment where decisions made in the next few weeks could define the trajectory of the franchise for years. Shedeur Sanders' readiness, professionalism, and quiet confidence stand in stark contrast to the stagnation created by Kevin Stefanski's cautious approach. The rookie has shown he's more than capable, yet the team continues to hesitate, clinging to comfort over potential, familiarity over progress. And that hesitation has consequences, not just for the season, but for careers, reputations, and the very future of Browns football. For Stefanski, this is a make-or-break moment. He can continue down the path of conservatism, rolling out a veteran quarterback while ignoring the elite talent he has on his bench. But the longer he waits, the more he exposes his inability to adapt, his unwillingness to take risks, and his failure to develop talent. Every missed opportunity to showcase Shedeur is another strike against his coaching credibility. In the NFL, time isn't forgiving, and safe decisions rarely lead to championships. For Jimmy Haslam, the dilemma is equally stark. He's invested in Shedeur, handpicked him for a reason, and now he's watching potential slip away due to leadership misalignment. Does he let Stefanski continue, hoping the system eventually clicks? Or does he intervene, make a bold move, and realign the franchise around its rising star? Hesitation here could be costly. Owners in Haslam's position know that wasted talent isn't just a lost season. It's a long-term setback, both financially and competitively. And for Shedeur Sanders, the crossroads is more subtle but no less critical. He can continue to be patient, maintaining professionalism while waiting for the opportunity he deserves. Or, as rumors and league eyes swirl around him, he could find himself in a situation where another team swoops in, offering a chance to lead immediately. His talent ensures he won't stay overlooked forever. The question is whether Cleveland will act before the league does. Ultimately, this is a moment of truth for the Browns. The organization must choose between safety and opportunity, comfort and growth, hesitation and action. The decisions made now won't just determine a season, they'll signal the franchise's philosophy for years to come. And as the clock ticks, one thing is clear. The crossroads has arrived, and every move will be scrutinized. Cleveland's future and Shedeur Sanders' legacy hangs in the balance. As we step back and look at the situation in Cleveland, one thing becomes crystal clear. Shedeur Sanders is ready. His confidence, professionalism, and talent are undeniable, and the league is watching closely. Every misstep by Kevin Stefanski, every cautious decision, and every deflection in press conferences only highlights what Shedeur brings to the table. It's rare to see a rookie quarterback who can maintain composure under pressure, handle adversity with grace, and still command attention for his potential. Yet, that rarity is exactly why this story has become one of the most compelling in the NFL today. The real question now is whether Shedeur is capable. It's whether Cleveland will allow him to shine. The team sits at a crossroads, with an owner who knows the value of his investment and a coach whose conservative approach is increasingly under scrutiny. Every game that passes without Shedeur in the lineup is another moment the Browns risk wasting elite talent. Meanwhile, other teams are quietly taking notes, evaluating the opportunity to bring in a quarterback who is not only ready but also mature beyond his years. Shedeur's stock isn't just surviving this situation, it's rising, precisely because of his patience and professionalism. For Stefanski, the clock is ticking. Safe decisions won't secure his job, and conservative strategies won't win championships. If he continues down this path, he risks not only the development of his rookie quarterback, but also the credibility of his own tenure. For Haslam, the dilemma is urgent. Intervene and protect his investment, or watch as the player he drafted to lead the franchise potentially blossoms elsewhere. Hesitation here could be costly, and history shows that owners who act decisively often salvage both talent and reputation. Ultimately, the story of Shedeur Sanders is bigger than a single press conference, a single season, or even a single coach. It's about talent, opportunity, and timing. It's about a young quarterback proving that readiness isn't measured by age or experience, but by character and ability. And it's about a franchise faced with a choice that could define its future for years. Shedeur's journey is far from over, and the NFL is watching every move. Whether in Cleveland or elsewhere, his time is coming. The only question left is, will the Browns recognize it in time, or will the rest of the league seize the opportunity they have been patiently waiting for? One thing is certain, this story is just beginning, and the next chapter could change everything.
If you enjoyed today's breakdown and want to keep up with all the drama, trades, and behind-the-scenes action in the NFL, then don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps this channel grow and lets us know you love this kind of content. And hey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with your friends, your group chats, or anyone who loves football as much as you do. The more the conversation spreads, the better it gets. Most importantly, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel and tap the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss when we drop fresh stories, wild rumors, or breaking updates that the mainstream media won't talk about.